What up, everybody? This is Harry G from True Ballers Podcast. You're on with the fellas. We got A-Benz. We got the one and only Christopher D'Andrea, CD. We're talking NBA All-Stars. The rosters are out. There's controversy. There's already been some changes. There's already been, Devin Booker's now in. Again, same thing as last year for him.
Boom.
Getting in on with an injury. With I'll call it an asterisk for him for both. But there's definitely some controversy. We're gonna talk about it. I know Chris has some interesting words for a particular player on a particular New York-based team. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into everything. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for this one. This might be the most excited I've been for a podcast the entire season, because I know Chris is just about to get rocked. And the good thing is too for him is that he doesn't have an Instagram or Twitter, so he can't even see any of it. So it's fine.
It's all a facade. It's all a facade on his end.
The good news is it's all, I just know all these people have been at me. They've been going at me. And guess what? I bring facts. I bring facts to the table. I bring perspective to the table.
And you know what, Chris? And that's why I do respect your opinion, because you do bring the stats to the table. I do like that.
It's a
I'll give you that
opinion. It's a True Ballers podcast. We're speaking the truth. We're speak from the heart. And, we're going to put you down for your opinions, but we appreciate you because I know you're going to stand with it. So stick with it. Stick through it.
Of all the ones, this is one I definitely know I can stick with pretty vehemently.
I mean, after Georges Niang just went 7 for 7 from 3 the other night, after we declared him the worst player in NBA history, maybe. So,
dude, that man put on the Undertaker, put the Undertaker gif up on everyone, or meme up on everyone. Came out of nowhere.
So hey, where's our credibility is already on the chopping block. So let's get to it, though. Let's get right to it.
Let's do it. Let's
Chris,
do it.
Before we talk Randle, we're gonna start with Julius Randle. Okay, but
okay.
I know you had a couple things you wanted to shout out, so I just wanted to give you that. Do you want to do that now or at the end? Where does
I'll do it right now. Harry, you started this thing, and A-Benz, you piled on, and I shook my head, and I clutched my pearls, and I was afraid to jump on the bandwagon, but you guys called it. You guys called a gentleman named Chris Paul getting onto the All-Star team. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think that his pedigree would take him that far. And shame on me. Chris Paul, I feel like I owe you an apology, but I owe a lot of kudos right to Harry G and A-Benz for just calling it outright. It's not statistical based. It's just leadership ability.
You got to understand. Hey, listen, they're in the playoff hunt. He's turned that whole organization, that whole team, that whole culture around. And it just goes to show what a true leader does. I mean, we see another point guard go to Washington in Westbrook, and we see the complete opposite. But Chris Paul's a winner. He's a leader. Lately. He's a captain. So big shout out to Chris Paul. I think he's 35 or 36. Doesn't really matter. Congratulations, buddy.
Never bet against the team that Chris Paul is going to play at next year is pretty much the lesson of this story, because I feel like everyone also was down on the Suns. They were like, Chris Paul again after OKC, he showed everybody he's like, I'm still Chris Paul, I'm still the point guard, and he's doing it again. So obviously not the same stats he's used to putting up in his all-star years, but man, he definitely is the only reason that team is in the position they're in. They would be an 8 seed without him. Maybe not. Maybe not. It would be close, right? So yeah. And he's got that veteran pedigree too. You can't overlook that. I know it's a name thing, but with him, it's also leadership. I think A-Benz brings this up all the time. Like him
behind LeBron, it's him.
I would even consider, him and LeBron the same level in that category.
1A, 1B, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, shout out CP3. Good job by you. All right, let's get on to the fun stuff now.
All right.
The airways have been harping.
CD, tell me why the New York Knicks don't deserve to have an all-star in the All-Star game this year.
All right. I'm gonna start off by putting myself down, because when we had our show, I had 2 gentlemen in his All-Stars that, after digging deeper into the stats, I have to call myself out on it. It's not factual. I can't actually put these guys in as bona fide stars after looking into the numbers. And then I'll get to Julius. Don't you worry. I'll get to Julius. Okay. I'm not going to get to Julius's mom. Julius's mom, Mrs. Randle, you're a lovely woman. Your son's a nice guy, I'm sure. But you had that nice message to the garden. I have all the love in the world for you.
What a guy.
Good for you, Good for you. Good for you. But
respecting the mothers of the NBA. Gotta love it.
100%.
Such a true baller.
Yes, exactly. But to start off, the person who I want to actually kind of put on blast here, and I didn't think that I would say this, is Domantas Sabonis. Out of nowhere.
That's one A-Benz. We were talking about you before.
I'm putting Domantas Sabonis on blast because after looking into the numbers, and this is just kind of set up how how I was looking at the numbers before and kind of trying to justify who probably was the ultimate snub for being an all-star. And Domantas Sabonis overall is minus 52 on the court on a winning basketball team. That to me blew my mind.
He doesn't play any defense.
What blew my mind even further is that against playoff teams, this man is a minus 91 on the court. He's minus 75 against teams above 500. So I guess he's slightly better than he is against those, but that is staggering to me. And the fact that the efficiency in terms of what it happens when he's on the court versus off the court, when he is on the floor, his team is actually, from an offensive ratings perspective, 8 points worse. And the opponent's offensive rating is 8 points better when he's on the floor.
Can you though? All right. Before we go crazy on Sabonis, wait, can we just back that up real quick before you keep going, and then I'm gonna let you keep going.
Yeah.
Can we see what maybe for next time? What I would like to see is these stats prior to trading Victor Oladipo, because I think that may have something to do with these crazy numbers you're seeing. Because Sabonis is an absolute beast of a player, and his numbers just back that up, and the eye test also backs that up. So and they've been bad since that trade. They have not been the same winning team. So I would like to see that.
But I'll say, I'm a big eye test guy.
Oh, you love the eye test.
Big eye test guy, but I got to tell you, this is eye opening in a way. This is eye-opening.
This is very eye-opening, and I'm going to jump right in because
go for it.
I actually believe in the eye test too. I call it how I see it. If you're doing good, I'm gonna praise you. If you're doing bad, I'm gonna put you down. And one thing I'll say about Sabonis is, ever since his name has become more of in the realm of the stars in the NBA, I see a lot of arguing this season. I see a lot of players going at him, and it's almost like he's not fighting back. It's like he'd rather argue with the refs about these foul calls that are non-existent. His lateral movement isn't that good. He can score. He's got great footwork on the offensive end, but he's not a complete NBA player. Let's be honest, guys. And I think right now, players are taking advantage of him. He's not your. He doesn't deserve to be an all-star. He doesn't.
I agree.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let's back up on the bashing of, I feel like those numbers have to be skewed. You know what I mean? Or they're just coincidental, because I feel like that, he's a really good player. He's still, in my opinion, on the cusp of being an all-star.
The one thing that I'm going to clarify here is, the thing that I'm going to clarify is I basically just have him on the outside looking in as an all-star. I have him 3 removed from being an all-star. I'm not saying he's trash.
Okay. All
I'm just
right,
saying based on these numbers.
Okay. I was reading that as Sabonis is trash, minus 91 against playoff teams.
Nope.
All right, cool.
Nope. But that is a really telling stat. However, making the point that it's shocking, and he does not deserve to be an all-star.
He doesn't.
He's a good player. Great offensive, like you said, great footwork. Fantastic player. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he does great with the community, whatever.
Mom's probably also very nice.
But that's not what we're judging right now. That's not what we're judging.
Mrs. Sabonis, all respect to you and your family and Arvidas. Good. We would love to have you on the pod, Arvidas, if need be, if you have time.
Chris, I'm guessing your next one is Chris Middleton.
No, not going Chris Middleton.
Damn, one for
not
two.
Going Chris Middleton.
Okay.
I actually had Chris. I didn't even bother going into Chris Middleton because I just think that I just think that after the decline that he had from his exceptionally hot start, the cooling off that happened there probably just took him out of the running. The guy that I actually had next was Bam Adebayo.
Oh yeah. I can agree with that.
Bam Adebayo, I'm going to again run through the numbers right here. Overall, minus 19 on the floor. Shockingly enough. And let me just make sure these numbers are accurate. He's minus 19 on the floor against playoff teams. And I'm just going to run through my little spreadsheet here just to make sure that this is correct, because it actually is a very similar number to what I was seeing previously. Yes, indeed. He is against playoff teams a sum total of minus 91 on the floor. And the one thing I will give Bam is that he's dealt with a lot of injuries. Miami's not had the luxury of that. So I'm not going to hold that necessarily against him. But it is crazy to think, though, that against the overall schedule, which includes the playoff teams where he's minus 19 on the season, it balloons all the way up to minus 91 just from playing teams that are of playoff caliber.
So what is it? Minus 91?
Minus 91. So him and DeMontis actually have the same plus minus against playoff teams.
Okay. All right. So I think I might have found maybe not the only reason, but one of the reasons for what you're seeing.
Significant injury to the
no, but I'm saying statistically, he played one game against Denver. They got smoked, and he was a minus 36.8 that game, and one game against Golden State, and he was a minus 29.9 that game. All I'm saying is,
I'm going off strict, just normal plus minus, Harry. Not even the point thing.
No. This is minus. Yeah. So he's minus 7. He's minus. I can't do math. He's minus like 65 against two games. So this is what I'm saying is right. 2 playoff teams. So just saying, throwing it out there. Make sure, like, as just like if you're looking into stats, like some of those like outliers like that, like you kind of got to throw those out. On the other token, he has games against he has a game against OKC where he was plus 29.9. So it goes both.
But listen, guys. I think we're looking at the stats too much right now, and I think the stats. I'll bring it back. I think bring it back. Yeah, I think the stats are important and all. But when it comes to Bam Adebayo, I think that's a rising star right there. And I've seen him play. Fantastic. I've seen him play on national television against top tier teams, and he goes at everyone that's in front of him. I've seen him pin LeBron a couple of times. I've seen him go at the Lakers. I've seen him go at Boston. So he's prime time. He is prime time. And I think
he's fantastic.
And I really do think that he was a snub this year because, as you mentioned earlier, the Heat were without Jimmy Buckets. They were without their entire team for a majority of the beginning of the season, it seemed like. And he was one of their consistents.
Yep.
And at the moment, they are in a playoff game. So he definitely has a case for being a snub in the East.
So again, like I said, that's fine. I will say, in terms of his ratings and all that, and how he impacts the game, he's just subtly above everything. He's a positive difference maker on the floor. PER is 22.3 compared to Desponis' 20.7. Like this, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. He just has not warranted that ability to get into there strictly off of statistical performance or the ability to win. And I think that he's not the leader of that team. Jimmy Butler clearly is. So all of that.
And Jimmy, by the way, if he doesn't miss time, is definitely an all-star this season. Like the way he's playing when he's on the court is just phenomenal. And I think I'm not saying that people forget this. I'm saying like I feel like I forget this. Like every time I watch them play, I'm like, holy shit, Jimmy Butler is an unbelievable basketball. Like I just, for whatever reason, it amazes me every time because of the way he plays. He plays so smart, so slow, and he gets his team involved, which, some argue maybe he does a little too much in important games, right? Like that was one of the big knocks on him last year. But I think in general, it's what makes him like so great. It's like, you don't even realize like how much other than points, assists, rebounds he's doing for that team. And then on top of that, getting triple doubles every night. So, yeah.
I completely agree. But all right, sets the stage. Bam and Sabonis. I apologize. Great players, great people, great families, but we're just going to put you out of.
It's accepted.
We're going to put you
Apology
guys.
accepted.
We're going to put you guys right out of the All-Star race. Unfortunately, it pains me to say. I'm a really big fan of the big men, but I'm going to put you guys just out of it. Now let's get down to the show. Julius Randle. Julius Randle, you would be pleased to know, Harry. You'd be pleased to know on the season, he actually has a positive plus minus on the floor, in spite of the team being under 500. He's at plus 27. Okay. Against playoff teams, minus 17. Against teams above 500, minus 33. There's a trend. And you could argue he does not necessarily have the greatest pieces around him.
Exactly.
That's
It's
the whole
easy
team.
to
That's
target
the
in
whole
on him.
team. That's the
Totally
whole team
get
is
it.
probably
Totally
worse
get
than that.
Totally get it. Totally get it.
Okay.
But the good news is when you're comparing him to the person that I think was the definitive snub in Trae Young,
Oh my God.
who actually has been dealing
All right.
with significant injuries across the board, whether it was Capella early, whether it's Bogdanovich currently, Rajon Rondo the whole time too, Cam Reddish has been hurt a little bit as well. You can literally go through this lineup top to bottom. Like
Trae
I
Young
mentioned,
shooting 43% from the field this year. Just saying, like not
right.
not 3-point. All right.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. But to put it in perspective, Trae Young, when he's on the floor with a battered lineup, Danilo Gallinari also out injuries abound. This whole team has been just gut punched by injuries. Trae Young, when he's on the floor overall, plus 75. And I think when you take where Atlanta was with the injuries that they had, and you take even the Knicks lineup, which, you've had Alec Burks go out. You've had Elfrid Payton go down for the Liberty games. You've had a couple people had to come in and out of the lineups. Mitch Robinson obviously got hurt recently. There's a lot of different things that have happened. But the fact that you put this man on the court and he's plus 75, that's one thing. Against playoff teams, plus 12 compared to Julius Randle's minus 17. Against teams over 500, only minus 6 compared to a minus 33 for Julius Randle. Moving forward, Harry, before you jump in,
I'm ready.
In terms of the effect, in terms of the on-court versus off-court, and this is actually something that surprised me. I expected this to be much worse, but the difference of him being on the floor versus off the floor for the opponent's offensive rating was only about 4 points, but him being on the floor, well, for his own team versus off the floor, plus 11 in offensive rating. So it's a net difference of 7.1. Julius Randle's is about 5.3, also fantastic. But the fact that he's also just putting this team on his back when he's out there is another thing. Statistically speaking, if you go through the numbers, I'm going to say this, and this is going to blow your mind, Harry. Trae Young averages more blocks than Julius Randle. Trae Young
okay. All right.
averages more blocks than Julius Randle.
All right.
I'm just going to say that. Defensively speaking,
okay.
They're both trash. I don't want to hear anything about defense from both.
I mean,
Listen,
Trae Young
the one thing I
plays
can say
zero defense. Like Julius Randle's not a good defender by any means. Trae Young plays zero defense. Zero. I don't know.
They both play zero defense. They both. I think they are
that's
both
wrong. That's wrong. I watch every.
Listen.
I would not. I'm not the Knicks fan that's gonna tell you a lie, bro. This is the thing. I've been the most. So is A-Benz. We've always been honest about our team. We're true ballers. We're telling the truth. Julius Randle actually deserves to be an all-star. We wouldn't say it if it wasn't true.
Harry, I'm telling you from the outside looking in, if you look at the statistics,
but you're only looking at
all
stats.
of that. But then, I'm not only looking at stats, because then you look at the impact that they have on their team and the fact that this man is showtime. The man averages over 10 assists a game. The man, again, has more blocks.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
9 points. 9.6.
Sorry, 9.6. Sorry, against playoff teams, he averages over 10 assists a game. Against teams above 500,
but this is not outside the stats. You said this was outside the stats.
But boys,
you brought up the stats.
Boys, I'm gonna reel this one in. Because we're talking too much stats right now. All right, listen. I'm gonna break it down real easy. Chris D. Why Julius deserves to be a all-star. And I said he was going to be an all-star because the coaches voted him in. Why? Because The New York Knickerbockers are in the playoffs right now. We have not been in the playoffs in I don't know how long. Furthermore, not just that, he's our leader out there on the scoring. When it comes to the scoring spectrum, he's our go-to guy. We don't have all these other weapons. You want to talk about Trae Young? I see Cam Reddish out there. I see John Collins.
Nope.
Yeah,
I don't see Cam Reddish out there. Actually,
I've seen, but listen, but I've also seen the Hawks blow big leads, blow big games plenty of times, and I'm not going to give it to him. If he's a superstar, as you're making him to be, then he should be able to take over these games and win them. I don't want to hear that. Oh, he's a plus this, but they're not winning.
He's also such a baby.
He is a baby.
And that's another thing.
He's a
Can we go round robin? Can we go back to you, Chris? And then can we go back to?
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
So yeah, all right. Hey, Benz, finish up. Sorry.
And also I'm saying is,
otherwise
we're in the playoffs. I want to say we had the exact same number or more wins than we did the prior year, and we played less games. So that's a big stat in itself. Therefore, the coaches did the right thing. They voted him in. Trae Young didn't get in. The only other point guard that deserved to get in because of how their team has been trending up is your boy Fred VanVleet. They have now leaped to the 5th spot in the Eastern Conference when they were number 12 for the longest, for like 4 or 5 weeks to start the NBA season. And he and Spicy P have changed that team, and they've shot up. They are ahead of Boston. They're ahead of the Knicks, the Pacers. So that's the only point guard that I see in the East that, probably really got snubbed. He's really become a leader out there. I was actually just watching him play last Thursday against the Bucks. And I tell you one thing, he was going at the Bucks and he had his team behind him. So that's my point guard snub in the East, as opposed to Trae Young, the baby.
Okay, all right.
Not an assassin yet, but the baby.
That's so my eyesight test tells me, one, I don't like watching, like, Trae Young was exciting to watch for like his first year and first 2 years. I would say last year too. I can't watch that guy play right now. I literally can't stand watching him play. It's so annoying the way he plays, a worse version of Harden in terms of the way he draws, the way he's able to draw fouls and take advantage of the refs, which is not his fault at all. I personally can't stand it. But then on top of that, also what Harden does, but Harden is James Harden, complaining the amount he does and just acting like a total fool every single time he doesn't get a call. He just looks like a little kid out there. And honestly, he doesn't play like he doesn't play or act like he's an all-star. He doesn't deserve to be an all-star. Julius Randle, on the other hand, like exactly what Abens has been saying, I don't think it matters that it's the Knicks and that they haven't made the playoffs in a while. I try not to bring that into the picture here. But Julius Randle, every time you watch the Knicks play, they've beaten some really good teams. I know you could talk about the plus minus against this team, that team, playoff team, not playoff team, but you're talking about a number. The plus minus is a number that's often criticized because you're expanding. You're telling me he's I don't know what the exact numbers were, but you're saying he's minus 17, whereas Trae Young's, or he's plus 17 against playoff teams, whereas Trae Young's plus 33. That's over a span of 30 games. So the average of that is not, that much of a difference. There's so much else that goes into the winning a game other than plus minus. I see where you're going with it. I can't stand Trae Young. I'm not a coach. I probably will never be a coach, but if I was a coach, I would not vote for him.
Who knows? The Knicks might hire you.
I don't want it. I don't want it, man. I don't want all the heat that I would probably give myself if I was the Knicks head coach. So I'm definitely not looking for that. But you know what I'm saying? Just the stats combined with the eye test, combined with what Randle has done for this organization. And like I was saying in our chat earlier this week, this is the most excited any Knicks fan has been. And we're 13-18, right? I think 13-18.
Whoa. No. We're 2 games under 500, 15-17.
15-17, excuse me. Regardless, this is the most, we're not even 500, and this is the most excited we've been about a team since 2014,
2013.
2013 when the Pacers year. And I would say even more exciting was probably Linsanity, which is so sad because that was a 2-week period of time where Jeremy Lin played well. That's what Knicks fans our age think of. 25-year-old Knicks fans think of Linsanity as their most proud moment. We're seeing a trend up with this team. Not just what Fred VanVleet's doing is a trend up for this season. I'm talking about an organizational trend up. And Julius Randle is the player. There's a lot of pieces. There's organizational guys, general manager Leon Rose doing a great job.
Leon Rose, shout out Leon Rose.
Shout out Leon Rose. Shout out West. Shout out Dibs. Like, shout out Dolan for even considering changing up the style that he's.
I'm not.
It's about damn time.
No, but I'm saying, but the fact that he's actually giving up ownership and responsibility. I'm not saying there's a lot of stuff wrong with that guy. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is Julius Randle is the player that is responsible for this trend up. There's so many reasons why Julius Randle deserves this way more than Trae Young. And I would say more than Fred VanVleet.
And that is why he got voted in. Okay. And that's going to be the end of that, because at the end of the day, he's in. Now, Chris, I hear you. I understand. I hear the stats. I hear the minuses. I hear the pluses. I get it. You're a Brooklyn fan. You guys are high in the sky right now.
I'm going to just toss one question out to you guys. Do you think if that Atlanta team was fully as healthy as the Knicks have been, let's call it,
no,
AKA they didn't have 6 people injured for in and out of the lineup, and if not injured for a majority of the time, do you think the Atlanta Hawks would be closer to 500, probably be in a similar situation, if not better than where the Knicks are right now?
Not necessarily.
They have more talent. I'll give you that. They definitely have more talent. The Hawks have more talent. I think they're underperforming, even with the injuries. 100%. Even with I know the injuries are there, but in the beginning of the season, they started off hot, which they typically do under Trae Young. And then somehow I know that injuries are part of the game. Injuries are part of the game.
And like I said, they're only, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 games out of where the Knicks are at. And that's with all of that being said. So the crazy thing is just to think
they're 14 and 18.
This kid is actually doing things
you don't
that
think
other
John
people aren't even thinking of.
You don't think John Collins is probably close to just as much of a reason as Trae Young?
Nope. No, I actually don't, because
John
they're
Collins
restricting his minutes.
amazing.
They're restricting his minutes. I love John Collins. I'm a John Collins believer. Trust me. Okay. But they are restricting his minutes. They don't believe in him. That is a fact in the organization. That's why they're looking to move him. They don't think he could be the second star. They thought Cam Reddish was going to be the second star after he had a good month last season before the bubble. And then guess what? This season, he's not been playing that well. There's turmoil in that entire franchise. But the only boon that's keeping them afloat at all is Trae Young, who's doing what he's doing.
Chris,
at the end of the day.
Can I add something since you're a stats guy? Trae Young, points per game, 27. The next two, John Collins, 17.5. Hunter, 17.2. Capella, 14.8 and 14 rebounds a game.
Out. Capella also was out an extended period of time.
Yeah, but they played sufficient games, and they've lost sufficient games with those players all playing together.
All right.
That's fictitious, but I'll move on. We'll move on.
This can go on all day because the Knicks have had injury. This could go. We could have a whole class about this, fella. You know when teachers say, I hate when teachers. We could have a whole class about this topic. Anyway, I respect it. Like we said earlier, we respect the opinion, but your opinion is wrong, Chris. It's okay.
I mean, the bottom line is 27 and 10. I think that warrants all-star.
No. It does.
Bradley Beal had averaged 30 last year, or 29, whatever it was, and didn't make it.
Big snub.
That was a way bigger.
But hey, Chris, I got to give you a shout out, Chris, because you did call Vucevic and he made it. So we got to give Chris a shout out on that. He was on it. I wasn't even thinking of him. And he made it. So
it's
shout out to Vucevic for making the All-Star game.
That was my Chris Paul style pick. The coaches love him.
Okay, real quick. Before we got to move on to the West, but before we do that, I'm gonna say this is the only chance I thought, or the only reason I thought Trae Young maybe should have been an All-Star, and it's not over Julius Randle. Do you think both the Green Boys deserve to make the team? Because I
Nope.
saw that and I was surprised and I was like, maybe I'm just misreading the stats. I feel like Tatum, with the amount of games he
He
missed,
didn't deserve it.
his stats weren't. I know he's one of the best defenders on a wing position in the league, but that doesn't matter for this, unfortunately. Like because you just can't quantify it, which is against what I've been saying about stats and everything tonight. But uh, Jaylen Brown is the guy that's been carrying them because of the injury or because Tatum's been out with COVID and all that. And I feel like he missed enough games, in my opinion, where that's a guy that was put in the All-Star game because his name's Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on it. He's having a good season. I would just say not an All-Star level season. And I think if anybody deserves to be, or if Trae Young deserves to be in over anybody, it's probably Tatum. And if not, if you really want to give it to Tatum, then I guess you got to take it away from Brown, which I don't think you can, in my opinion. So I test stats. I feel like Tatum, I was shocked, honestly, that he made it. And he was our MVP. He's our boy, and he's still our MVP.
We got to remember,
our
at the end
bet.
of the
He's
day,
our bet.
I agree 100%. We got money on the line for that.
So,
but I do have to say,
let's go, Tatum.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, bring it on back, dude. You got the second half of the season. Let's go. But at the end of the day, the All-Star game's about flash. It's about cachet. It's about all these things, which is, again, why I'm shocked that Trae didn't make it over at Julius Randle. But however, going back to, like you said, the Tatum and and Jaylen. I mean,
but
Jaylen
if it's all
Brown,
about if it's all about
Jaylen,
ratings, though, what better way to get ratings than get a Knicks guy in there? Also, from that perspective, right?
All right, I'll just pull away. I'm gonna pull.
And we got
Yeah.
Knicks fans now.
Okay.
At the
All
Garden.
right.
Let's take it to the West Coast. Let's go.
Let's go.
Because today, shout out to True Ballers on Instagram. Today, the True Ballers put out a post this morning, and there's a lot of comments out there on Shy G.
I like
Alexander.
Shy, though. I like that better.
I call him Shy because he's smooth. He's like a smooth criminal out there, so I call him Shy. But anyways, it's a lot of people saying that Shy should have been selected instead of Devin Booker. Now I disagree with that, but what do y'all think?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think Shai's he's had this season we've expected in terms of the trajectory, and I think he's in the running because of the injury to Christian Wood, and I think because everyone's sick of Jeremy Grant just like playing, like literally just like I think everyone just sees right through Jeremy Grant. I think Shai has a good chance. Yeah, no love, but that's what he wanted. He just wanted to score a lot of points and now win games, and that's what you get. Shai didn't choose this. He stepped up. He's been stepping up. They're not having a great season, but they're doing well and they perform in games that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to.
They're gritty and they're competitive
that they have, and it's because of SGA. So I think that he's definitely on the cusp. I think MIP for him is where his head should be at. You know, there's obviously other guys out there. There's the Jordan Clarksons. There's some other boys out there.
God, if Jordan Clarkson wins, oh God.
What? All right. This is not what this is about. This is not what that's about. But anyway, I don't think he's having an all-star season. And I think Devin Booker, he got snubbed again almost. He got the asterisk. He got the asterisk vote. So, I feel like give him another year, I guess. And, or Chris Paul's got to retire and then Devin Booker can get in. There's just so many guards in the West. It's so tough. But yeah, I don't think SGA had it this season. But don't, not to knock him for anything. There's nothing to knock him for. It's just, there's too many guards.
Bottom line on this one, where the stats are very similar. Booker has more points than Shai, but Shai has more rebounds and assists than Booker. So when you look at the stats, and I know you guys are stats guys, you definitely could make a case for him. But bottom line, the Phoenix Suns are 20-10, and they're fourth in the Western Conference, the very competitive Western Conference. I may add, they're 20-10. So it's well deserved. I think he got snubbed. I think the NBA did good. Adam Silver said, you know what, let's get this boy in. And they did the right thing. They got him in. It's well deserved. Again, as both of y'all could agree, and as Harry said, Shea is up and coming. I think I don't know if he's going to end up in OKC long term. Just
no
because.
one does.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't.
Sam Presti doesn't do that.
Yeah, so
he's not about that life.
So, shout out to Shea for the season that he's having on the team that he has. And he's hit a couple game winners this year, and he's a dog, man. I was a non-believer. I didn't really think he was all that, but this year he's really opened my eyes. So shout out to him, but Devin Booker made it.
I just want to do before Chris, I don't know if you have anything to say about that. I just want to do a quick Bill Simmons or any podcaster impression right now by saying, could you imagine what the Clippers would be like if he was still there? Because that's literally always what you hear when SGA comes up. Listen, he was a developing guy. Any developing guy's a risk, and he stepped up and he's shown why the Clippers should have kept him. And they got Paul George, but they had to give up so much. They had to give up their future, and maybe SGA and Kawhi was enough. But anyway, Chris, what's going on?
I can wrap this up very simply with SGA. Like you guys said, most improved candidate. I actually think there's a lot of recency bias here because I thought he started off the season pretty slow compared to where the expectations were. I think he's turned it on as of late. He turned it on just in time to catch, put some wind in his sails for some all-star voting type of conversation. But all in all, not an all-star. Devin Booker completely deserves it. Winning team, statistically sound.
Do you think
reason for success?
Do you think like him, Christian Wood, Jeremy Grant, Clarkson, like all these guys that are in the MIP running are just grouped together? Like, I feel like that's who, because like you said, like Christian Wood started out really hot and obviously he got hurt and that's why he's out. Like, it's not his fault. Jeremy Grant, I feel like everyone is starting to see through because of what you hear in the media, starting to just see through him. Like I think we all thought that in the beginning of the season, but I think a lot of fans, a lot of people, maybe we're like, oh, Jeremy Grant's putting up 25 points. And then you look at the Pistons record and the rest of their squad and you're like, eesh.
Yeah.
And then, Clarkson, obviously. But I'm just saying, do you think he's just grouped? I feel like he's just grouped with them. And like, that's who you're comparing against at all times. Is that like a fair way, do you think, to compare guys? Because I feel like that's what we're doing.
I don't think SGA belongs in that group, though. I think SGA should be grouped more with the Ja Morants, the Zion Williamsons, the up-and-coming stars of the league. And I just don't think he's getting enough credit because of the market he's in. At the end of the day, OKC is not the place to be if you're a young, budding star. I mean, we saw – what is it?
Oladipo.
Well, no. I'm not even talking about Oladipo. I'm talking about when Harden was there, Durant was there, Westbrook was there. I mean, they had something nice, they had some good, but they never won. And after that, it's like OKC is like a place that people don't really want to go. And you see players leave and just become superstars and just take off. So that's why I say if SGA is, if I was SGA, I'm talking to my agent. Listen, man, you got to get me out of here. I'm putting up the numbers. Get me to Miami, get me to New York, or get me to LA or Houston. Hey,
he's gonna become. Wait, hey Benz, are you reporting he's coming to the Nets too?
No, I'm not. I didn't say that because the Nets have a pretty bona fide point guard of themselves in James Harden and Kyrie Irving.
He's tall enough. We could put him at small forward.
I think it's the complete opposite of that. Actually, I think like
I'm playing with you.
I think that's the reason. Like, I think like SGA. I mean, maybe he is saying that's his agent, like eventually. But I think that's what makes OKC so. I guess marketable for these guys is like, all these guys come through here and become superstars. Like, like I think Presti's whole thing is like, we're not winning anything now. We're collecting first round picks and they've collected a lot of them and stayed somewhat fairly competitive throughout that process. It's pretty impressive.
And I get that. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that a Zion Williams or even a LaMelo Ball, the attention they garner through the media, even though Charlotte's not the biggest market, and neither is NOLA, but NOLA's definitely a bigger market than Charlotte. Just the attention they garner, you would think that SGA would be included in that, and John Morant's another one. You would think that SGA would be included in that, and I just never see him in those conversations. I don't understand why.
I think it's because they were big prospects coming out of college, whereas SGA wasn't as high of a prospect as them. And because, like you said, like Memphis and NOLA are also not big markets that would garner that much attention normally. So I think it's just the fact that they went 1-2 last year, and Zion is quite possibly the biggest prospect we've seen since LeBron or Kevin Durant. So I
Bro,
think
he's
that's
Showtime. I'll tell you that much. He is definitely Showtime.
all right. Let's talk about him a little bit, because I don't think he was a shoo-in for us as a group. What do we think about Zion?
No, he wasn't.
What do you think about Zion getting into the All-Star game? Chris, you're nodding your head, so
I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it. I mean, I had him in there. I don't
Yeah,
think
you
you can
did.
keep him out. I don't think you can keep him out. The fact marketable, Showtime, fills up the bucket, young developing star. New Orleans, like you said, might not be a hotbed, but good God, ESPN makes it out like he's doing this in the Garden every night. I mean, he's got the eyes on him. He's putting up the stats. He's getting better. He's starting to put some assists. He's starting to get some assists. He's starting to actually get some of the defensive numbers, whether it's steals. He always has 1 or 2 dirty blocks that end up on freaking SportsCenter's top 10 out of nowhere, even though it all of a sudden beats like a magical catch of someone else. And I don't understand, but that's neither here nor there. He deserved to be in there. He is definitely a reason that they're succeeding at all this season. I don't know that we talked about this on a previous podcast, so please go listen to that one too. But I'm not sure if Stan Van Gundy's won the ear of those players. However, Zion's making it look like all is right when you watch him play. I mean, that guy can put the ball in the bucket.
Chris, and I like what you just said. He's really developing his game. And what I see as a former basketball player myself, the game is slowing down for Zion. Shout out Hills West. The game is slowing down for Zion. The game is really slowing down for him. If you really watch him play, he's not getting as tired as he was last year or earlier this season. He's more calm. He's collected. He knows where to go and how to get his buckets. And did you guys watch this the Sunday showcase on ABC when they went into overtime? Zion took over in the second half, completely took that game over. His energy, there was shout out to the fans that have come back to the crowds. NOLA had fans. The Knicks had fans last night. So I like what I'm seeing. The numbers are going down, and that's a tangent, of course. But getting back to Zion, the guy is Showtime. Literally, when he was in Duke with Barrett and Cam Reddish, I legit watched every game, and I'm a UNC Tar Heel fan. So that just goes to show that he's really big time, and he's really showing out in the NBA right now. So congratulations, Zion.
Absolutely. Yeah, he deserves it. He deserves it, and the NBA needs it, frankly. You could think whatever you want. I definitely think he wasn't a shoo-in. There were, a couple guys you could argue here and there, but like in terms of their level of play, the NBA needs Zion Williamson in the All-Star game. So I'm all for it. I think it'll be way more fun with him there. There's literally no reason to keep him out. So good job by the coaches there for getting him in.
So I got a question for the both of y'all, since you boys are over and under guys. Was over or under 3 dunks for Zion in the All-Star game?
Over.
He's coming off the bench.
Hammer.
Doesn't way over it.
Over a hammer. Who's going to stand in front of him in the All-Star game?
Who's going to bet the under on Zion dunks in an All-Star game? If anyone bets
Vegas is going to have it. Vegas is going to have it. It's probably going to be like 3 point or 4.5.
Nobody's going to bet the under.
No, I don't care what it is either. And Amen, think about it this way. Who's going to be the guy that stands in front of him defensively to try to take a charge or do some
crazy? The rookie game last year where they were letting him go up for dunks?
Joe, just look at the excitement on Chris's face when I asked over and under of dunks from Zion. This is how you know this guy is Showtime. This is Michael Jackson right here. This is, you got to pay to see this guy play. So, hey, listen, congratulations again, Zion. I like what you're doing in NOLA. I think they can turn it around, Chris. Like you said, I don't know if the team has bought into Van Gundy, but if Van Gundy sets these boys straight, they're dangerous.
I agree. The one thing I will say, just to tie off on Zion too, though, I feel like he's more of an in-game dunker than like a Showtime dunker, though. Like, I'm not sure if dunk contest is the best thing for Zion, which I think he's teased recently. I just don't think I think he's more of an in-game dunker. That's all.
So are you saying you're fading? Like, are you saying fade the over on dunks?
No. I'm hammer the over on dunks in game.
Well,
however, I'm
my
saying
thing is,
if he's in a dunk contest, I wouldn't bet on him.
okay. But getting back to All-Star snubs, so I think we discussed the majority of the guys that we think should have made it. Who else do you guys think should have made it in the West? I feel like I was really thinking about this one, and we were talking about Mike. Well, I was looking up at Mike Conley, and yes, they are the number one seed out in Utah. But then I was also looking at Swiper the Fox out there in Sacramento, who also possibly could have deserved a spot. But again, you look at the record. But I don't know. I feel like in the West, everyone that deserved to be there is in there. I don't know who didn't make it besides Booker. Whereas the East, we didn't even touch on some guys like the Tobias Harrises of the world. We didn't really touch on Chris Middleton. I feel like there's more leeway over there for snubs, but in the West, I think it was pretty accurate.
Pretty cut and dry.
I think it was accurate. Yeah, I think Fox and who was the first guy? Mike Conley. First of all, Mike Conley, I think I'm stealing what someone else said here, quoting another podcaster. But I do agree with it that Mike Conley shouldn't want to be an all-star because he doesn't deserve it. Like if he was an all-star this year, it would simply be because he's never made an all-star team before. And it's, a nice thing to do, but I feel like he wouldn't want that. And, someone else not getting it, he'll go down as one of the best players ever to not make an all-star team if he doesn't make an all-star team. So I think, in my opinion, I'd rather that situation than make an all-star team that you don't deserve. And I think all those guys don't really deserve it. You mentioned Tobias Harris. I think they're on the cusp, and it's nothing against those guys. There's just so much talent. The stats that guys are putting up this year are absolutely insane. They're historic on every single level. So yeah, unfortunately for those guys, it's not going to work out this year, but trending up for some of those guys.
I get that. I think the only difference I had on the West was I thought everything was good, except for that I thought De'Aaron Fox was going to get in. I didn't think that CP3 was going to get in. I was dead wrong on it. It's like you said, he's got the pedigree, he's got the coaches, he's got the whole the media vote too. Like, makes sense.
He wouldn't have gotten it if they weren't 20-10.
I'm with you.
That's the thing.
But that is what Chris Paul does. That is what Chris Paul does, and that's respect to him. But that's the only guy I thought Fox probably could have gotten in. Like, you could make an argument, but like you guys said, it's just the winning factor should supersede so many different things.
Yeah. Well, all right. Anyway, that's it. I feel like we could go on forever. I feel like I have so many other thoughts, other players that may have gotten snubbed that we're not even talking about right now. Give us a shout in the comments, in the mentions on Instagram. Hit us up, DM us, get us your thoughts, get us what you want us to talk about. Happy to hear from the fans and want to make sure we're getting to all the players that you guys want to discuss. But that's going to do it, I think, for our All-Star breakdown this season. A lot of controversy, a lot of heat, but I like it. It was intense.
Can I give a shout out?
Oh, I was waiting for it.
That's part of the show.
So I haven't shouted them out all season, but I'm just really proud of the progress they're making. Shout out to the Knicks and shout out to the Knicks organization for finally saying, you know what, the fans matter.
Nets
for finally assembling a nice little young nucleus that looks like they want to compete out there, looks like they're learning, looks like they're building off of each other. And, we're still, hey, listen, Chris, I know you're a Nets fan and I know you guys are high in the sky right now, but listen, my boys are coming. My boys are coming. It may not be this year, and it may not be next year, but we're going in the right direction. We're going to see, you're so disrespectful. But anyways, shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to Tibbs. Shout out to the whole organization. And most of all, shout out to Julius.
Oh, I
thought Julius Randle's mother.
I thought you were going to say, and most of all, Shout out to the great city of New York. Good night, everybody. I thought like we were gonna like end like that.
Nah, shout out to Julius
I guess we'll
Randle's
just
mother.
end.
You deserve it.
Shout
The
out to
Randle
Mrs.
family, you
Randall.
deserve it.
Shout out to Mrs.
Yeah,
Randall.
shout out to Mrs. Randall. Well done.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, guys. See you next time.
Deuces.